There's a moment you don't notice until it's too late. At first, she texts you back within seconds. Her eyes light up when you enter the room. She leans in, laughs louder, holds on just a second longer when you hug her. You think, finally, she's into me. And maybe she is. But soon, the shift begins. She starts responding with one-word answers. She seems tired, busy, distant. You tell yourself it's work, stress, bad timing. But deep inside, you feel it. The connection is slipping. The energy is off. The warmth is gone. And then she's gone. You sit there, stunned, wondering what happened. And I'll tell you, it wasn't what you said. It wasn't what you didn't say. It wasn't your looks, your job, or even the way you kissed her. It was the shift in you. See, here's the painful truth most men never learn. Attraction dies the moment you make her your source of validation. You stopped being the man who intrigued her and started becoming the man who needed her. You see, in the beginning, you had mystery. You had space. She had to earn your attention. You weren't cold, but you were complete. And that's what pulled her in. But when you felt that she liked you, you started changing. You responded faster. You canceled plans for her. You texted more, gave too much. And slowly, what was once desire turned into pressure. Women don't fall in love with men who make them their center. They fall for men who are already standing tall, with or without them. Because when you try to win her love, she starts to feel what you don't say, that you don't fully love yourself, that you need her interest to feel worthy. And that is the one thing she can never give you. Not long term. Not for real. The hidden weight of neediness. Here's the truth no one tells you. The moment she feels like she's responsible for your happiness, she starts to withdraw. Not because she's heartless, not because she doesn't care, but because no woman wants to carry the weight of a man's soul. She wants to be with you, not save you. She wants to feel your presence, not your desperation hiding behind compliments. She wants a man who brings her into his world, not a man who abandons his world for hers. But you didn't mean to do that, did you? You just wanted to love her, to show her you're serious, to prove you're not like the others. But here's the cruel irony. The more you proved yourself, the less she respected you. Because love doesn't grow from trying to be enough. It grows from already being whole. And when you gave her everything too soon, too easily, you sent an unspoken message. I don't believe I'm enough unless you approve of me. And when she senses that, even subtly, something inside her recoils. Because women are biologically wired to be drawn to strength. Not just physical, but emotional. The kind of strength that says, I desire you, but I don't need you. I choose you, but I will not collapse for you. But most men don't know how to hold that frame. They confuse love with sacrifice, affection with chasing, connection with losing themselves. And that's when it happens. She starts to pull away, not always dramatically, but gradually, like a tide slipping back into the ocean. She still smiles, still talks, but she's already drifting. And you feel it. That ache, that emptiness, that silent panic that screams, please don't go. But you don't say it. You try to play it cool. You text less. You wait longer, but it's too late. Because the issue was never about texting. It was about energy. About the shift that happened inside you when you stopped being the man she admired and started becoming the man who feared losing her. You started to shrink. It didn't happen overnight. You didn't wake up one day and say, today I'll stop being respected. But slowly, subtly, you started to shrink. Not physically, spiritually. You stopped speaking your truth, stopped holding your standards, started apologizing for existing. You thought being agreeable would keep her close. That saying yes, even when you wanted to say no, would make her love you more. That making her the center of your world would make her feel safe. But it did the opposite. Because respect dies in the presence of self-abandonment. And that's what happened. You abandoned yourself. Not in a dramatic way. In the quiet moments, when you laughed at things you didn't find funny. When you said it's okay, even when it wasn't. When you let things slide, hoping to keep the peace, while a storm brewed inside you. She could feel it. She might not have said it out loud, but she noticed. She noticed when you stopped challenging her, when your opinions faded into hers, when you became more obsessed with being liked than being authentic. And deep down, she felt something terrifying. She felt alone. Because when a man loses himself, he doesn't just lose her. He loses the ground she once stood on. Women are drawn to men who are anchored, not swayed by every emotion, not begging for reassurance, not molding themselves into what they think she wants. She wants a man who can tell her the truth, even if it risks the connection. A man who holds his core like a mountain, steady, unmoved, sovereign. But you gave her your spine, hoping she'd hold it gently. She didn't. Not because she's cruel, but because no woman can respect what a man doesn't protect in himself. That's why it's not about games. It's not about being cold or pretending not to care. It's about knowing who you are before she ever walks in the room, and never forgetting it after she does. The moment you remember who you are, there's a moment. Maybe it comes in the silence after she's gone, or in the middle of a conversation that suddenly feels empty, or maybe it comes when you look in the mirror and don't recognize the man staring back. A moment where everything inside you whispers, "This isn't me." Not the overthinking, not the neediness, not the shrinking, begging, performing version of yourself. And in that moment, something shifts. You stop blaming her. You stop blaming women. You stop blaming the world. You realize the man you became was your choice. Painful? Yes. Uncomfortable? Definitely. But liberating. Because if you created this version of yourself, you can create something new. You can stop trying to earn someone's love and start respecting yourself enough to walk away when it's not mutual. You can stop making her your oxygen and start breathing for yourself again. Because here's the truth no one told you. She was never supposed to complete you. She was supposed to complement the man you already were. But you didn't believe you were enough. So you overcompensated. You tried harder, gave more, chased faster, all while bleeding your power drop by drop. It's time to take it back. Not through rage, not through revenge, not by becoming alpha in some performative way, but through alignment. By remembering your values, by speaking honestly, even when your voice shakes, by drawing boundaries without apology, by making space for yourself in every room you enter, even if that means standing alone for a while. This isn't about impressing her anymore. This is about becoming someone you don't have to abandon just to be loved. Because here's what no one tells you. The moment you stop chasing love and start embodying truth is the moment the right kind of woman stops running away. Not because you manipulated her into staying, but because you finally stopped running away from yourself. When you stop chasing, you start choosing. When a man finally stops begging for crumbs, he begins to realize he was always meant to feast, not just in love, but in life. He walks differently now. Not because he's arrogant, but because he finally knows his worth. He doesn't send 3 messages in a row, because he's too busy building a life that speaks for itself. He doesn't need her to reply right away, because his time is no longer wrapped around her attention. And when she pulls away, he doesn't panic, he doesn't perform, he simply notices and moves on. Not out of bitterness, but out of alignment. Because he knows now, real connection doesn't require constant convincing. You don't have to prove your value to the right woman. She'll feel it, she'll see it, not because of how loud you shout, but because of how silently you stand. And maybe she comes back, maybe she doesn't. But either way, you don't lose yourself again. You've bled too much. You've bowed too often. You've broken your own heart trying to protect hers. Now it's different. Now you speak less and mean more. Now your peace is louder than your pursuit. Now when someone asks what you bring to the table, you say, "I built the damn table." Because you're not just a man anymore. You're a man with standards. And standards aren't walls. They're doors. They don't keep people out. They simply make sure the right ones know how to knock. She may not understand it at first. She may feel the shift. She may test you again, but you don't flinch. Because now you've learned. It was never about making her stay. It was about not losing yourself while trying. And once you know that, you're free. Respect yourself like she never did. You spent years asking the wrong question. What did I do wrong? You went through her messages like they were scripture, analyzing every word, replaying every call, wondering how something so warm could go so cold. But it was never just about what you said or what you didn't say. It was about how much of yourself you gave away just to be chosen. You offered loyalty before she earned it. You gave time before she respected it. You made space in your heart before she even asked for it. And slowly, without noticing, you made her the source of your confidence. That was the mistake. Because once someone becomes your mirror, your reflection is no longer yours. If she smiles, you shine. If she pulls away, you shatter. But now you're done. You're done letting people rent space in your soul for free. You're done confusing attention with affection. You're done mistaking chemistry for compatibility. You've learned the truth the hard way. Being a good man is not enough. You have to be a man who respects himself first. Because when you respect yourself, you don't chase. You attract. You don't explain. You express. You don't prove. You exist with presence. You become the man who doesn't flinch when she walks away. Because you know someone else will recognize what she missed. But even more important, you recognize it yourself. You see yourself clearly now, not as someone who got left, but as someone who finally stood up. So next time a woman pulls away, you won't panic. You won't collapse. You'll smile, not because it's easy, but because you've grown. You'll whisper to yourself, "Thank you for showing me who's not meant to stay." And then, you'll keep walking. Wiser, calmer, stronger. Because now, you no longer beg for love. You embody it. And that's the man who never gets dumped again. Not because they all stay, but because he no longer falls apart when they leave. The moment you lost her. There's a moment most men never notice. It doesn't come with a fight. It doesn't come with a scream. It comes silently, like a light switch flipping off behind her eyes. That's the moment she starts leaving you. Even if she hasn't moved yet. She's still there, still texting, still smiling, still pretending. But something has shifted. She doesn't feel it anymore. She doesn't look at you like she used to. And worst of all, you don't even see it coming. Because you're too busy proving, too busy pleasing, too busy earning someone you already had. That's the tragedy. You think if you just try harder, if you just show more love, she'll see how much you care. But she doesn't need more proof. She needs polarity. She needs to feel your spine, your standard, your sacred distance. And when she doesn't, when you get too soft, too eager, too nice, she starts to disappear. Not because you weren't enough, but because you stopped being the man who made her feel something. You gave her comfort, not contrast. Peace, not passion. Safety, but no mystery. She didn't lose interest because you were bad. She lost interest because you lost edge. Because the moment she felt she could control you, she stopped craving you. It's brutal. It's real. And it's your wake-up call. Not to become cruel, not to play games, but to become centered. To remember that desire doesn't live in the man who gives everything. It lives in the man who doesn't give himself away so easily. So next time you feel her slipping away, don't run after her. Look in the mirror and ask, did I abandon myself just to keep her? Because that was the moment you started losing her.